For thousands of years, they have stood in the desert, silent, unmoving, watching the world change around them. Kings have come and gone. Empires have risen and fallen. New cities have been built. Old civilizations have disappeared. But the pyramids are still here. Even today, they leave millions of people asking the same question. How did people living more than 4,000 years ago build something so enormous? Without cranes. Without bulldozers. Without modern machines. Some people believe they know the answer. Others believe the truth has been lost forever. And then there are those who think the pyramids are hiding secrets we have not yet discovered. So, what is the truth? Welcome to the African Archive, where we bring Africa's history to life through careful research and powerful storytelling. If you enjoy discovering the people, places, and mysteries that shaped our world, subscribe and join us as we uncover the stories history should never forget. In this documentary, we are not here to chase wild theories. And we are not here to dismiss honest questions. Instead, we will do something much more interesting. We will follow the evidence. Together, we will travel back more than 4,000 years to the banks of the Nile. We will meet the people who dreamed of building monuments that could last forever. We will explore what archaeologists have discovered, what historians believe, and what mysteries still remain. By the end of this journey, you may not have every answer. But you will see the pyramids in a way you never have before. Because sometimes, the greatest mystery is not how these monuments were built. The greatest mystery is how one ancient African civilization achieved something so extraordinary that the world is still trying to understand it today. This is the mystery of the pyramids. Chapter 1. A river that created a civilization. Every great civilization begins with one thing. A place people can call home. For ancient Egypt, that place was the Nile River. Imagine standing in the middle of a vast desert. As far as your eyes can see, there is dry sand. The sun is hot. Rain is rare. Life seems almost impossible. Then, you reach a river. Its water flows for thousands of kilometers. Along its banks, the land is green. Crops grow. Animals gather. People build homes. That river made all the difference. The ancient Egyptians even had a saying. Egypt is the gift of the Nile. Every year, the Nile flooded its banks. When the water went back down, it left behind rich, dark soil. Farmers planted their crops. Families had food. Villages became towns. Towns became cities. Over time, one of the world's greatest civilizations was born. But the Nile gave the Egyptians more than food. It gave them confidence. They believed life followed a pattern. The river always returned. The seasons always changed. The sun always rose. To them, the world was built on order. And they believed that order should continue even after death. That belief shaped everything they did. It shaped their temples, their art, their writing, their kings, and eventually, their pyramids. The ruler of Egypt was called the Pharaoh. The Egyptians did not see the Pharaoh as an ordinary king. They believed he had a special duty. He was chosen to keep peace, protect the land, and maintain the balance of the world. When a Pharaoh died, the Egyptians believed his journey was not over. Death was not an ending. It was the beginning of another life. They believed that if the body was carefully preserved, and if the Pharaoh was given everything he needed, he could live forever in the afterlife. That is why they built magnificent tombs. Not simply to bury their rulers, but to prepare them for eternity. At first, these tombs were simple. Then they became larger and more impressive. Each generation tried to build something greater than the last. No one could have imagined where that journey would lead. Because one pharaoh would dream of something the world had never seen before. Not a palace. Not a temple. But a monument so enormous that thousands of years later, people would still stand before it in amazement. The age of the pyramids. was about to begin. Chapter 2. The Pharaoh's Impossible Dream. Imagine being told to build something that would last forever. Not for one generation. Not for 100 years. But for thousands of years. That was the challenge facing the ancient Egyptians. Around 4,500 years ago, a pharaoh named Khufu became the ruler of Egypt. Like the kings before him, he believed that death was not the end. One day, he would leave this world. But he believed his journey would continue in the afterlife. He wanted a tomb worthy of a king. One that would protect his body, honor his name, and remind future generations of his power. But Khufu dreamed bigger than any pharaoh before him. Much bigger. His builders chose a rocky plateau on the edge of the desert, near the city we now call Giza. There, they began work on a project unlike anything the world had ever seen. Stone after stone. Block after block. The pyramid slowly began to rise. The numbers are almost impossible to imagine. The Great Pyramid was originally about 146 meters, or 481 feet, tall. For nearly 4,000 years, it was the tallest human-made structure on Earth. It was built using more than 2 million stone blocks. Many of those blocks weighed as much as a small car. Some of the massive stones inside the pyramid weighed far more. Yet they were moved, lifted, and carefully placed with remarkable precision. Even today, engineers admire how accurately the pyramid was built. Its 4 sides point almost exactly north, south, east, and west. The base is nearly level. The corners are astonishingly precise. This was not an accident. It took careful planning, skilled workers, talented architects, and years of hard work. For a long time, many people believed the pyramids were built by slaves. But modern archaeology tells a different story. Near the pyramids, archaeologists discovered the remains of workers' villages. They found homes, bakeries, tools, and even tombs where some of the workers were buried with honor. These discoveries suggest that many of the builders were skilled laborers who were fed, organized, and respected for their work. That changes the way we see the pyramids. They were not simply built by force. They were built by a civilization working together on a project it believed would last forever. But one enormous question still remains. If the Egyptians did not have cranes or steel machines, how did they move millions of heavy stones into place? That question has challenged historians, engineers, and archaeologists for generations. And although we have discovered many clues, the full answer is still being pieced together. In the next chapter, we follow those clues. Because to understand the mystery of the pyramids, we must first understand the people who built them. Chapter 3. How did they build the pyramids? Imagine standing in front of the Great Pyramid. You look up, and up, and up. It seems impossible. Then you ask the question millions of people have asked before you. How did they build this? The truth is, no one alive today watched the pyramids being built. There are no instruction books, no videos, no detailed plans left behind. Instead, historians, archaeologists, and engineers have spent years putting the puzzle together. And little by little, the evidence has revealed an incredible story. It all began with stone. The Egyptians found large blocks of limestone in nearby quarries. Workers used simple tools made from copper and hard stone to cut the blocks. It was slow work, but they were skilled craftsmen. Once the stones were cut, they had another challenge. How do you move rocks that weigh several tons? The answer was teamwork. Thousands of workers pulled the stones on large wooden sledges. Recent discoveries have shown that pouring water onto the sand made it firmer. That meant the heavy sledges could slide more easily instead of sinking into the soft desert ground. It was a simple idea, but it made a big difference. Some of the finest stones came from much further away. Granite, one of the hardest rocks in the world, was brought from Aswan, nearly 800 kilometers south of Giza. The Egyptians loaded these massive stones onto boats and floated them down the Nile. The river became their highway. Without it, building the pyramids would have been far more difficult. But moving the stones was only part of the challenge. How did they lift them higher and higher as the pyramid grew? This is where the mystery becomes even more interesting. Many experts believe the Egyptians used ramps. These ramps may have been straight, or they may have curved around the pyramid. Some researchers think there were several kinds of ramps used at different stages of construction. The truth is, no one knows exactly which design they used. And that is one of the greatest mysteries that still remains. What we do know is this: the pyramids were not built in a few months. They took years of careful planning. Thousands of workers. Skilled architects. Engineers. Stone cutters. Boat builders. Surveyors. Farmers who worked during the flood season. Cooks who prepared meals. Doctors who treated injuries. Every person had a role to play. The pyramids were not the work of one man. They were the achievement of an entire civilization. And when the work was finally complete, the Great Pyramid stood taller than anything humans had ever built. It remained the tallest structure on Earth for nearly 4,000 years. Think about that for a moment. Buildings have come and gone. Kingdoms have disappeared. Technologies have changed. Yet the Great Pyramid still stands. Not because of magic. Not because of visitors from another world. But because thousands of ordinary people worked together to achieve something extraordinary. And yet, even after all these discoveries, the pyramids have not given up all their secrets. There are still hidden spaces. Still unanswered questions. Still mysteries waiting to be solved. And that is where our journey takes us next. Chapter 4. The secret still hidden. After more than 4,500 years. You might think we know everything about the pyramids. But we don't. In fact, some of their biggest secrets are still waiting to be discovered. That is one reason people from all over the world continue to visit them. Not just tourists. Scientists. Engineers. Archaeologists. Historians. They all come looking for answers. One of the biggest questions is this: are there still hidden rooms inside the Great Pyramid? For centuries, explorers searched for secret passages. Some found new chambers. Others found nothing at all. Then, in 2015, scientists tried something completely different. Instead of digging through the pyramid, they looked inside it using tiny particles from outer space called muons. These particles pass through stone every second. By tracking them, scientists could see inside the pyramid without causing any damage. The results surprised everyone. They discovered a large empty space hidden deep inside the Great Pyramid. It became known as the Big Void. But what is it? No one knows for sure. Could it be another chamber? A passage? Or simply an empty space built to reduce pressure inside the pyramid? For now, it remains a mystery. Another question has puzzled experts for generations. Why is the Great Pyramid so incredibly precise? Its four sides point almost perfectly toward north, south, east, and west. Even with today's technology, that level of accuracy is impressive. How did ancient Egyptian builders achieve it? Many historians believe they carefully studied the stars. Others think they used the sun and simple measuring tools. Whatever method they used, it required remarkable skill and careful planning. Then there is another mystery. Inside the pyramid, there are narrow shafts leading from some of the chambers. At first, people thought they were built for air. But many experts now believe they had a symbolic purpose. Perhaps they pointed towards certain stars that the Egyptians believed were connected to the pharaoh's journey into the afterlife. Even today, researchers continue to study them. The more we learn, the more questions appear. That is how science works. Every discovery brings us one step closer to the truth. But it also reminds us how much we still have to learn. The pyramids are not mysterious because no one has studied them. They are mysterious because people have studied them for hundreds of years. And they still have more questions to answer. That is what makes them so extraordinary. They continue to challenge every new generation. Not with magic. Not with myths. But with a simple invitation to keep asking questions. And wherever there are unanswered questions, there are also stories. Some of those stories are based on evidence. Others are based on imagination. In our next chapter, we'll separate the two. We'll explore the famous theories that have captured the world's imagination and compare them with what the evidence actually tells us. Chapter 5. Myths, Legends, and the Search for the Truth. The pyramids have stood for more than 4,000 years. That is a very long time. Long enough for stories to grow. Long enough for legends to spread. And long enough for people to wonder if the truth is even stranger than anyone imagined. Some of these stories are fascinating. Others are exciting. But are they true? Let's follow the evidence. One of the most famous theories is that aliens built the pyramids. The idea appears in books, television shows, and movies. Some people argue that the pyramids are so impressive that ancient humans could not possibly have built them on their own. But there is a problem with that idea. There is no archaeological evidence to support it. No ancient Egyptian writing mentions visitors from another planet. No alien tools have ever been found. No discoveries point to technology from outside the Earth. What archaeologists have found tells a very different story. They have uncovered workers' villages, stone quarries, tools, food supplies, written records, and even the names of the work crews who helped build the pyramids. All of this points to the same conclusion. The builders were ancient Egyptians. Another popular story says the pyramids were built by hundreds of thousands of slaves. For many years, that idea was widely accepted. But modern discoveries have changed that picture. The people who built the pyramids appear to have been skilled workers. Many were farmers who worked on the pyramids during the months when the Nile flooded their fields. They were given food, medical care, and places to live. Some were even buried near the pyramids, an honor that would not have been given to ordinary slaves. That does not mean life was easy. The work was hard. The days were long. Injuries were common. But the evidence suggests they were builders, not an army of chained workers. There are other mysteries too. Some people believe the pyramids contain hidden knowledge. Others believe they have special powers. Some even claim they can preserve food or sharpen blades. These ideas continue to capture people's imagination. But so far, careful scientific testing has found no convincing evidence to support those claims. Does that mean every mystery has been solved? Not at all. There are still questions that historians and archaeologists are trying to answer. Scientists continue to explore hidden spaces inside the Great Pyramid. Researchers continue to study how the builders planned such an enormous project. New discoveries are still being made. That is what makes history so exciting. It is not frozen in time. It keeps growing as we learn more. Perhaps the greatest lesson of all is this. When we don't know the answer, it is tempting to fill the gap with imagination. But real discovery begins with something different. It begins with curiosity. With careful observation. With asking good questions. And with following the evidence wherever it leads. The pyramids do not need magical stories to be extraordinary. The truth is already extraordinary enough. An ancient African civilization, working with skill, determination, and remarkable organization, built monuments that have survived for thousands of years. That is one of humanity's greatest achievements. And in our final chapter, we'll explore why the pyramids continue to inspire the world. And what they still teach us today. Chapter 6. More than stone. When people first see the pyramids, they often look up in amazement. They wonder how they were built. They wonder why they were built. They wonder what secrets they still hold. Those are good questions. But perhaps there is an even better one. What do the pyramids tell us about the people who built them? For more than 4,500 years, the pyramids have stood against the wind, the sand, and the passing of time. They have outlived the pharaohs who ordered them. They have outlived the kingdoms that surrounded them. They have even outlived many of the civilizations that came after them. Yet they remain. Not as ruins of failure, but as monuments to human determination. The story of the pyramids is not just the story of ancient Egypt. It is the story of what people can achieve when they work together. Thousands of builders, architects, stone cutters, engineers, boat makers, artists, farmers. Every one of them played a part in creating something far greater than themselves. That is why the pyramids continue to inspire the world. Not because they are impossible, but because they remind us what is possible. Even today, scientists continue to study them. New technologies allow us to look inside the pyramids without damaging them. New discoveries continue to answer old questions. And sometimes, they create entirely new ones. That is the beauty of history. It is never truly finished. Every generation asks new questions. Every generation makes new discoveries. And every generation sees the past in a new light. The pyramids teach us something else. Great civilizations are not remembered only for their power. They are remembered for what they leave behind. Ancient Egypt left behind monuments that still fill the world with wonder. They remind us that Africa has been home to some of humanity's greatest achievements. Achievements built not with magic, but with knowledge, skill, patience, and imagination. As we come to the end of this journey, one mystery still remains. Not hidden inside a chamber. Not buried beneath the sand. But inside each of us. What will future generations build? What will they discover? And what stories would they leave behind? Thank you for joining us on the African Archive as we explored one of the greatest wonders of the ancient world. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe to the African Archive and turn on notifications. Together, we'll continue uncovering the people, civilizations, and mysteries that shaped Africa and changed the world. Because history is more than the story of yesterday. It is the foundation of tomorrow. And sometimes, the greatest mystery is not how the pyramids were built. It is how one civilization dreamed so boldly that thousands of years later, the world is still looking up in wonder.